Hi guys, hi. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Clarice. For those who are new to the channel, I am a student doctor in my second year, and I recently had a newborn as well. So this is a platform where I share this journey with you guys because I'm a mature student, non-conventional student. So I'm just sharing my experience throughout this journey. Hopefully I can help somebody else out there who might embark on the same pathway as me. And so in today's video, to get into it straight away, because my baby is sleeping and he might wake up any given moment, I wanted to talk to you about part 2 of this video, or somewhere. I might link it up there or this way. I'm not sure which side it's going to show up. But basically, this was a video that I recorded about childbirth, about the experience that I had whilst I was giving birth. And I recorded the part 1, which was great. Everything went well. I gave birth to a healthy baby boy, and I'm so thankful to God. So this is part 2, to get into details of what really happened. Now, as you remember, or if you want to find out what I've talked about, just go and check it out first and then come back and check out this video. Basically, as you remember, I chose to take epidural for my labor pains. As I said, I had completely decided that I'm going to take everything else and then I'll take the epidural as a last result. I had taken epidural with my first baby and I had a positive experience, so it wasn't like I was against it in any way, but I just didn't want anything invasive at this time round. So I took everything else. I took gas and air, I took diamorphine, none of them seemed to work, so I decided to go for the epidural as a last result, as I had planned. So when the anesthetist came in to give it to me, you know how you go through all the risks and everything, and I consented to all of that. And then after that, he had to insert the needle. You know, they have to insert the needle into your back, close to your spine, so that the epidural, the pain relief, can be injected into that catheter. Basically, they insert in there. So he did that, and they started administering the epidural. As I mentioned, he came back afterwards and told me that he might have gone a little bit deeper than where he should have. So basically, the brain and the spinal cord, they are all covered. They're both covered by these layers. Now, the epidural is supposed to go into the superficial layer. You're not supposed to go into the deep layers. So what happened is that he, mistakenly or, accidentally went a little bit further, because it's quite close proximity. So you have to be extremely careful. Any movement, any sudden, change of direction can go a little bit deeper. And that's what might have happened. I'm not sure what happened, but he basically went a little bit deeper into the spine, and that can cause a lot of issues. So he came back and told me, whilst I was still waiting to deliver my baby. At that particular time, I was pain-free, so I was like, it's okay. And he apologized, and what he said was that part of that happening is that I might get some side effects. And one of them is that, he might have injured some nerve, and I might get paralysis somewhere. We don't know. We will know once the epidural actually wears off. And another thing he mentioned was that I might get really severe headaches. But he said that, I might not. But that's what usually happens when that kind of happen, when the needle goes a bit too far. So I was quite optimistic. I said, you know what, let's get through this hurdle first. Let's give birth to this baby, and then we'll see what happens. So the delivery went well, pain-free. And then I was taken to to the ward. Basically, you have to leave the delivery suite and then go to the ward to kind of like recover. So I went on the ward, and the epidural started wearing off. And I don't know if you know, but part of the process of having epidural is that you need to have a catheter, because you can't go to the toilet at this particular time, because everything down below, bottom half, is completely paralyzed, so you can't feel anything, no sensation whatsoever. So that can now cause your bladder to retain urine, so they have to insert the catheter so that the urine can come out without any issues. So when the epidural is wearing off, and part of the recovery is that they have to torque you. So what that means is that they have to take the catheter out, and then they have to see if your body is going to recover well, and they'll be able to resume normal functioning, and you'll be able to go to the toilet by yourself, which will signify that the nerve endings that go to the bladder are still working, your sphincters are still working. So that was what they basically wanted to monitor. So they took the catheter out, and a few hours later, I managed to go and wee. And I weed quite a significant amount of pee, which was good, because that's what they look for, because then they will be, you know, sure that you're not actually having any leftovers in your bladder. So they were happy about that. I could mobilize. I managed to get to the toilet by myself by walking, which meant that my legs were starting to work. Great. Now, I started getting headaches. I started feeling headaches, but at that particular time, they were not bad. So I just kind of like attributed all of that to lack of sleep, newborn, tired, all these things that can actually make sense for you having a headache. So I just kind of, you know, stayed optimistic again. And I didn't know if this was the cause of the epidural procedure, so I kind of left it. So in the evening that day, I was quite eager to go home, and because I had passed urine and they were happy with that, they allowed me to go home, and I was happy to be leaving to go and have a shower and just be in my comfort zone. I know how that feels. It's different when you're in hospital, and when you're at home, it's so different. You just want to come home and, you know, have a cup of tea when you want to have a cup of tea. So I just wanted to get back to the norm. But whilst we were driving home, I could just sense that something is not right, and I'm getting headaches. But again, I stayed optimistic, and I left it. Nighttime, tried to sleep. Obviously, with a newborn, it's quite impossible, so the headache is still there. But what I realized was that when I was lying flat, when I was lying down, the pain was a little bit less compared to when I was standing up or sitting up. And apparently, you know, part of the headache and the most, you know, significant sign that it's because of what had happened with the epidural is that, yeah, it's kind of like postural headaches. So when you lie flat, the headache goes because the intracranial pressure is kind of balanced. And then when you sit up, the intracranial pressure is disturbed, and then you start getting all sort of headaches, and it was quite severe anyway. I just hated it. So I couldn't wait till morning. In the morning, we called back the maternity unit, and I told them, I don't know what to do, because I can't take care of the baby because I'm in severe pain. I've taken ibuprofen, all these other things that I could have taken to relieve the pain, and it's not going. So the anesthetist called me back in, told me I need to go back so that they can see what they can do. So we got back in, and basically they assessed me, and it was typical of what they explained to me was that, you know, cerebrospinal fluid was leaking, so CSF leakage. And basically what that means is that there is fluid around your brain and your spinal cord, and this keeps things quite balanced. And so because of the hole that went a little bit deep into the deeper layers of the spinal cord, that fluid was leaking on the outside, causing the pressure to drop and causing everything to be imbalanced, if that makes sense. So then I was getting really severe pain, quite mostly like frontal wise, like around here, and my eyes were really quite sensitive to light. So it was like really, really strong, like I don't know how to explain it to you, but just a lot of pressure, like something is about to burst and you can't contain it. So it was really horrendous anyway. I don't wish it on my worst enemy. So I explained that to them. And another thing, another typical sign that I was getting that the tinnitus. So that's like the noise, that consistent noise that you hear in your ear. Let's say when you've gone out and you've stood, when you've gone out to the club or somewhere that were playing quite loud music, and then you get home and you can hear that. That's what I was getting the whole time. And that was another sign that something is wrong. So they said, in order to repair this, they need to do something called blood patch. Now, I had never heard of that. I didn't know what to expect when somebody tells you that your cerebrospinal fluid is leaking. You freak out, especially because we studied this. Literally, we studied this year. And you start thinking about that lecture where they mention about things like this, and you realize that it's happening to you. You know the severity of it. You know that this might be permanent. You know you might get headaches for like you. Everything just start closing in, and your world gets smaller and smaller. But I started to, I tried to stay positive, and my husband was quite reassuring. So he was just trying to make me calm, stay calm. But basically, they told me they're going to do a blood patch, and what they do is that they take a sample of your blood and they inject that blood into the hole where the epidural catheter was. Catheter or cannula, catheter, yeah, was, and then that kind of like seals off the hole and the leakage will stop, hopefully. So I didn't have any other option, to be honest. I was like, whatever you can do to stop these headaches, that I will take it, because I can't take care of my baby. I can't take care of myself. I'm in pain. Nothing seems to work. So I don't know what to do. So they had to readmit me and the baby, because I can't leave the baby by himself when he's literally like less than a day old. They readmitted us. I went on the ward. I stayed with the baby, and I was just on medication, on the clock, just painkillers, morphine, ibuprofen. I don't know how many painkillers I was getting, because the headache was just horrendous. And in order to function, I just needed to stay on top of the painkillers. They were lovely, honestly. The midwives, the nurses, they were just amazing. And the anesthetists were quite nice as well. So I had to stay overnight. And then early in the morning, the anesthetist came back and told me that there is a slot in theater and I have to be taken in at that time, because basically they're booked up for the rest of the day. So if they don't do it in that morning, they don't know when it's going to be done. But at that time, I was by myself. My husband was not there because he was taking care of our other son. So then I'm in a dilemma, because I have a baby. I don't know who to leave the baby with, and I don't want to miss the slot because I don't want to be in pain. But then the midwives on the ward, they offered to take care of the baby, which was quite lovely. So I left my baby with the midwives. Luckily, the procedure doesn't take too long, and my husband was on the way back, so that was great. So they took me in, and basically I had to sit up in the same position I had when they were doing the epidural. So I had to lean forward like this, and then stay still, completely still. So then I have one doctor withdrawing blood, and he has to do it like in the most sterile way possible he can do it, because if that blood gets infected and they inject it into your spine, then you're going to get infection in your spinal cord, which eventually will travel into your brain, and then that could be fatal, basically, it's death. So he has to do it carefully. I have to stay still with the arm, just doing my blood pressure here. So I'm trying to stay still so that the same incident doesn't happen with this one, because other risks, again, are similar to the epidural, because you can get a nerve injury, you can get another cerebrospinal fluid leakage if they go again too deep, you can get back pain. So there's just ending risks, but I'm willing to take them on because the headache is just unbearable. So they performed that, take the blood out, started injecting that blood into my spinal cord. I can feel it, and they were asking me if the headache is going, but I couldn't feel any difference. So they injected the whole bottle, basically all of it, into my back. And then immediately you have to lie flat for 2 hours. No movement, no nothing. Avoid coughing, avoid sneezing, avoid laughing, like no maneuver whatsoever. Lie flat. So I had to lie flat. I went into recovery. They checked my blood pressure regularly, and then eventually they sent me back on the ward. So part of the things they had said was that after the 2 hours, I have to start walking, doing everything that I'm meant to be doing, just so that they can make sure that my legs are working, there is no nerve injury, there is no paralysis, there is, all those things they have to double check to make sure that they didn't do anything that can cause other repercussions, basically. The only thing I was struggling with was to pee, because I didn't realize that I'm going to be lying flat for 2 hours. So I had to hold my pee for 2 hours, which was impressive. So after the 2 hours, I had to get up, started moving about. I can still feel the headaches though. The other thing that I was feeling was muscle pain in my legs and my back, and it was just weird, but at least I could move, so that was quite positive. And then the anesthetist came and saw me and basically said, we're just going to give it time. Just go home. I'm happy for you to go home, rest. And then if the pains continue, call us, and then you have to come back in. So I had to stay positive again. God, I was so desperate to get back to normal and be with my children, because it's just a humbling experience to know that this is what patients go through. I've been a patient before. I've been admitted to hospital before, so this is not my first experience. But it's just a reminder of everything that they go through, because you realize how debilitating pain is. Pain is, it's very depressing, and it's not just at that particular time, it's the aftermath of as well, because when I went back home, anytime I was feeling something, I was getting anxious, and I was attributing all of that to what just happened. And maybe it was because of that, but sometimes it was because I couldn't sleep, So went back home, I have to be careful. I can't sneeze too much. I can't stretch. I can't cough, because that can dislodge the clot, and then there will be leakage again. So it was just, I have to be careful. So the headache was there, but eventually, gradually, it just started going, and I started feeling like human again. And that was just amazing. The only thing that persisted was, muscle pain and back pain. But again, like I had gone through a lot with the epidural and, childbirth, weird positions and all these things. So I just had to give my body time, but at least the headache was going. But like I said, it's just the anxiety that comes afterwards, that you feel like, I can't do this. If I do this, oh my God, I just did this. I just bent a little. Did that dislodge the clot? Am I going to feel the headaches again? It's just, it was horrible. And I sympathize with patients, especially those who are going through pain, because it's just, you can't function. Like I said, your world becomes so small because you're limited to what you can do for yourself. I just thank God to be here. And I'm here without a headache, and it's just amazing. This is why I'm into medicine, because to me, it seems so simple, injecting blood. It's like, without surgery, without anesthesia, without, there's a whole bunch of things that can go wrong, and I thank God that they didn't. And it's just what medicine is, and that's why I love it, that it's able to do this, bring back the normalcy of a person. And I just hope God blesses me with gifted hands and mind, that just be able to treat my patient in a holistic way, and just be able to do miracles, because it's a miracle to me. It's a miracle to me. So I just wanted to share that experience. You guys thank God for me, because like I said, it could have been worse. And now I'm home with my babies, and I'm able to take care of them. It's difficult, but I'm grateful that I get to share with you guys what happened. And if you ever go through this, if you've ever been through this, if you have any tips for anybody else who's going to come across this video, please share. My baby's about to wake up, so I'm going to wrap this up. But yeah, if you have any comments, any questions, leave them down in the comment section, and I will be happy to read them and maybe get back to you. But thank you so much for watching. I have exams coming up, so I'll try my best to release videos whenever I can, but please be patient with me, and I'll see you next time. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and God bless you. Bye.